Well, hello everybody. I am excited to be bringing you a very first look at a new game that I've had my eye on for a while. It's called Evil Democracy 1932. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at the training for the game just to kind of show you the basic components to this game. I'll also read a little bit of the description for you real quick as we dive into this today. I'll put a link in the description below where you can get the game. It's actually, I think, $10.79 on Steam right now. It's got very positive reviews. Just came out in the last few days. In 1932 to 1935, Western Europe is at a crossroads. The elections to the parliament changed virtually everything. Chamberlain managed to become the winner in England just to give both Austria and the Czech Republic to Nazis without even trying to fight. At the same time, Nazis were able to win the elections in Germany. It was the moment when democratic elections could change the entire faith of the world. You have to become the leader of a political party. Your key goal is not to allow your main competitors to win the elections. Did someone mention a National Socialist as chancellor? No way, not on my duty. You are the one to choose measures which will lead you to the cherished goal. Will you use only truly democratic ways and approaches? Will you rather go to the limit? Print newspapers, write articles about the competitors, send your promoters, summon assemblies of the party members, start protesting, and implement legal doctrines. In addition, there are always methods on the fringes of the law. You can use such things as ballot-rigging and political racketeering. In fact, you are the one to create the image of the party leader. So we're going to look at the training real quick. There are 3 countries you can choose from. You can choose France, you can choose the United Kingdom, and you can choose Germany. And within those countries, then you get to choose which party you want to be a part of. So this is the tutorial, and it's not a long tutorial. So we'll go through this real quick, and then we can take a look at the game itself. Each post occupied by the leader brings all kinds of bonuses, from finances to improving the quality of the newspaper. The editor will attract more voters when printing party newspapers and leaflets. Select this post to give an appointment to the leader. Okay, so this is our Stanley Baldwin, who was at one time the UK Prime Minister. There are several vacant positions in the party. Hire a junior leader to fill one of them. So it looks like they're all about the same price, and you can see there are different statistics for each one of these. Now, I don't know what all of them mean yet, but we're just trying to get our feel for the mechanics of the game right now, so we can figure all that later on. The party needs a representative to negotiate with its sponsors. Select an available leader, and that's the one we just picked. Sponsors provide a significant share of party funding. Therefore, it's very important to pay special attention to them. Select this post to appoint a leader, and you can see the effect on strikes, sponsors, treasurer, elections. We're going to choose that one right there. The first 2 leaders were appointed. Now it's time to get busy with the party newspaper and leaflets. We need to find 20 journalists. So we're going to max this out. And it shows how much that's going to cost, $5,000. Hire 3 journalists for the editorial office. Okay. Hire you. Okay, I guess it's kind of automatically doing these things, so it doesn't really matter where I click. We're just trying to learn the mechanics of the game. Journalists are responsible for the quality of the leaflets and newspapers that are distributed to the public. Select the position responsible for leaflets. All right, select a journalist to handle the leaflets. And we've got our 3 journalists here that we can choose from. We're going to choose Alvin May. Select the best journalist to work with newspapers. And you can see what their bonuses are. Okay, so this is showing us. So this is newspapers, for example. So different journalists work better with different areas. This guy would actually be better for newspapers, but it looks like we're selecting this guy. All right. Slander will allow you to lure some of the enemy's voters to your side. Tell the journalist to write an interview with the party leader. After its publication in the newspaper, one of the leader's parameters will increase. All right, and so then we can hit our next turn. You can see there's 249 turns until the election, so there's a lot to be done. There's a lot of depth, obviously, to this game. Printing an edition will require significant funds. Complete the current turn so the party's budget is replenished with donations from voters and magnates. So you can see here what our budget is. We are the Conservative Party. We currently have 5.3 million voters, 45,000 sponsors, 0 staff. A budget currently of 9.6 million, and we're gaining 2.4 million per turn. So there we have that. You can start printing. The party has received sufficient funding. Select the number of newspapers. Number of leaflets, 0. Hire a sufficient number of promoters to distribute the party's printed material. Okay. Hire for $12,500. Total price $255,000. Print. Promoters start distributing newspapers and leaflets. New voters and tycoons are ready to join the ranks of the party. Excellent. Periodically, the party will be able to make dogmas, special decisions that will affect different aspects of the party's activities. Select any of the dogmas. So we'll pick this one here. So this is power of the lower classes, or I guess it's picking this one up here for us. The power belongs to the working class and serfs. Ideology is far left, which probably doesn't really suit conservative party, but we'll do it anyway. The cost for such a protest has decreased. Organize protests for 40% less. That's the impact we get. The negative is that we are losing support from our sponsors. 1% of the total number of sponsors in each region no longer support you and have become nonpartisan. Number of turns to accept the dogma, 40. So accepting a dogma is a big deal because it obviously has an impact on things. Use agitators to influence voters in certain regions. All right, so we're going to hire some agitators. How many do we want? All right, we're going to hire them. I'm going to hire 1,000 of them. Agitators, to start working, they need to be assigned to one of the regions of the country. Use the map to assign agitators. Okay, so here we've got the different regions of the UK, Northern Ireland. Can't really see up in the north right now, but let's go to the West Midlands. I don't know. I guess it's going to select them automatically. You can see how many agitators are busy from each of the different parties. So that's kind of cool. It gives you a little bit of a measuring stick to know what you want to do. You can choose what percent of your agitators to send. You can choose to send them equally to all regions, proportionally to the voters, and 25% of the regions that have the lowest percentage of our voters or the highest percentage. So that's cool. The agitators will attract new voters every move. So that seems like something you want to invest in early on. The more enemy agitators in the region, the harder it is for your staff to work. Hold a rally to know more, or to let more potential voters know about your party. Country's regions are grouped into several districts. Rallies are held in all regions of a district at once. Okay. Appointing a leader to hold rallies will significantly increase their effectiveness. Organizing a rally requires significant funding. Hold a rally to attract new votes. All right, so it's going to cost $2 million for a rally. All right, so this is the results of everything that happened. Perfect. You have successfully managed to fill the party budget and attract new voters. We wish you successful completion of the storyline. Okay, so that's really about all you get. I don't know if you go back into training if it does the same stuff again. Yeah, it does. So there's really not much in the way of a tutorial. So pretty much you're going to learn the hard way. So let's go ahead and just dive into a little bit of an actual game. And before I do that, I just want to look here. This does have music. As I always do with my videos, I turn the music off. And the music's pretty good. But here's the Hall of Fame, and you can kind of measure yourself against, I'm not as familiar with some of the past German leaders. But I know Clement Attlee and Stanley Baldwin were two prominent ones in Great Britain. So interesting it calls it Great Britain because I think technically it would be the United Kingdom, but that's okay. Not a huge deal, I guess. Great Britain's really just this part of the United Kingdom. You add Northern Ireland to it. But new game. Okay, so let's choose. Let's go ahead and go with Great Britain. So you see you have the three choices: Germany 1932, Great Britain 1935, France 1936. So 2 years after the election, Neville Chamberlain became Prime Minister of the Conservatives. The Munich Agreement and the policy of appeasement became his main mistakes. You must change this. Elections on turn 150. In Germany, you can see elections are held every 150, 300, 450 turns. There were a lot more elections a lot more often in Germany because the Nazis kept kind of pushing to try and get more and more seats. In France, a large coalition came to power. Prime ministers are replaced too often. No help was given to Spain. The Munich Agreement was signed in 1938. You need to elect a government that will be more resilient than ever before. Elections will be held on turn 300. All right, let's dive into the UK. And then we get to choose our party registration. I'm guessing that the stars represent, how difficult it will be. And at this time and place, obviously, being conservative would be the easiest job to have in the UK. Now, some of these others much more difficult. So we're going to choose the easiest one to start with. They're center right. You can choose your initial budget, and it makes it either easier or harder depending on how you choose to do it. I think we'll go ahead and choose our initial budget to be right in the middle there, 2.5 million. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead back into our leader area here, and we're going to go ahead and choose Stanley Baldwin's 100 in each. So now we can hover over these and see what they are. Having charisma in front of a crowd, determination, this is level of belief, and eloquent language in the newspaper. So Stanley Baldwin's obviously a good choice for all of those things. Now we can hire some additional party leaders, and let's look and see. We obviously need somebody who's going to meet with sponsors, someone who's going to manage donations in the party. So we need somebody who's going to be good in the newspapers. Charisma in front of a crowd as well. I think George Davies might be a good one. So you can see here the different effects on all of those things. Obviously, big effect right there, so we'll go with that. Now, what about a treasurer, a leader to manage donations to the party? Who's somebody who's going to be good in that way? Charisma, eloquent language, level of belief. I don't know that any of that matters a whole lot for this one, so we'll go with Duff Cooper. Oh, we don't have enough to hire another leader right now. Okay, I guess we got to think about such things before we just go spending a bunch of money. I've only got $1.2 million left. Let's look at dogmas for a second. There are certain dogmas that are available and certain that are not. The ideology of your party is center-right. Liberal dogmas, the third column, can be obtained with minimal fines. Dogmas of other ideologies will receive greater fines. So these are all different. So I guess this is center-right. This is center-left. So they're organized by ideology. So personal property, freedom to have private property is a center-right ideology, attracts sponsors, will lose support from regular voters. I don't think we'll change any dogmas for the time being. We'll go ahead and look at the map, and let's zoom out and move up a little bit so we can kind of see. We can see all the way up into central Scotland and then up to the Highlands, I guess. Scotland North. So there's a lot of different regions here, and the map moves kind of slow. I don't seem to see any way to kind of change that. And you can hover over each region to see what party is strong there. Now, I'm not as familiar with UK politics as I am with my own country, and obviously it may have changed a lot since the 1930s as well, but at least I can hover over and get a sense of where we're strong and where we're not. So one of the other cool things here, and this is actually very helpful since we don't have a real deep tutorial, there are some other things that are going to be helpful here. And right over here on the right side, you can see that it gives you some kind of first steps, some things you should be working on right now. So hire 3 journalists to work in the editorial office. So print any amount, give a reporting assignment to 1 journalist. So those are kind of some of our first steps that we want to take care of. So we currently have $3.7 million, so we've got to go ahead and do this. Hire a couple of journalists. We need to hire at least 3. I'm actually going to hire 5 total. So that's how many get off. So that's actually just how many we searched. So that's cool. This guy's good at leaflets. This guy's good at newspaper and investigation, and this guy's good at interviewing. So give us a little bit of a kind of a variety there. Select a journalist to handle leaflets. Obviously this guy. Journalist to do work for the newspaper. This guy. And then open slot. Alright, so now that's not really ideal for that. So we still need to print any amount. So let's go ahead and go to printing. 200,000. That's going to cost 400,000. We've got the money for that. Circulation of leaflets, 100,000. Total cost is $500,000. Optimal circulation, 2.3 million. Ooh, boy. Okay. So that actually, so hitting optimal actually changes the numbers to exactly the ideal amount we would like to have. Print maximum articles. So we can select which articles are the best. Interesting. We don't actually have any right now, so we have to wait for some articles to be built or to be created. That's cool. All right, let's just go ahead and print like this for now. So now it's telling us we want to hire any number of agitators, send the agitators to start campaigning. So it's definitely giving you kind of some prods in the right direction, telling you what you want to be doing. So let's go ahead and hire some agitators. I don't think we've actually picked any yet. So I need to go back to headquarters here to do that. So here we go. In staff, we're going to hire campaign agitators. Let's hire, looking at the cost here, $828,000 to hire 6,600 of them. So now we want to go ahead to the map for agitators, and we want to assign them. We can go equally to all regions, proportionally to the voters. I want to go to the areas that have the lowest percentage of our voters. We're going to send 100% of what I have to those areas. All right, we'll see what that does. Let's hit next turn. Every time I hit a turn, it does go to this kind of accept a dogma area. Law and order, party's funds increased by 15%. Cost of printing is increased. Sure, we'll accept that dogma. Hire 3 more journalists, issue 3 reporting assignments. So looking at the editorial team, when you have free journalists down here that aren't assigned a specific task, you can actually put them to work doing something like interviewing someone like Stanley Baldwin, compromising material on financially harming opponents, slander, etc., etc. So let's go ahead and do an interview with Stanley Baldwin, and that'll be something that they'll be working on for the next little while. We need to appoint another leader to the post, to a post. So let's go ahead and hire another party leader. It's going to cost us $3.5 million to do that. And then we can look and see where it'd be most effective. And it looks like meeting with sponsors would be good. Strength of protests would be good. So let's go ahead and put them right there. We also need to print a circulation of 1 million newspapers, but I'm waiting to get some articles done. I just don't know if you see, there's nothing in the articles right now that we can really put. So one of the other things you can do is organize demonstrations, strikes, protests in different areas. And you can look at the different regions and see, for example, in the north, there's 7 regions. We have 2.4 million allies out of 13 million voters. So you can kind of see where you really want to focus things. So if we do it in the north, we could get, how about we go with demonstrations? It's going to cost $2 million. It's going to be 25 turns until it's available. We've got enough that I think we could probably do that everywhere. It takes fewer sponsors for different kinds of things and more for some. So let's go with that. And so that used most of my available budget. And you can see now we have a staff of 10,479 people. We have 51,000 sponsors. We have 4.9 million voters. And we've got a long way to go to the election. But right now we're starting to lead. We've got 19% of supporters. So it seems whatever we're doing is working at the moment. Now that we sent our new newspaper editor our reporter to do the interview, we now have articles that we can actually put into our newspapers. So glorification of the leader is basically what we have. So we'll go ahead and do an article about Stanley Baldwin, glorifying him for the upcoming newspaper, and we'll go ahead and do 1 million circulation of that. Can we also add leaflets? Do we have enough? Oh yeah, we've got plenty of money for all of that. What would be optimal circulation of all those things? $11 million. So I don't think we have, well, we can do maximum articles. They're all glorification of the leader. That's all we have at the moment. Looks like I can't print that. Or is it already set to print? That's why. Okay. So we'll see how that impacts things. You can see we're up to 20% party support now. So now looking at the newspaper bureau, we're going to try and look for compromising material to financially harm our opponents. And right now, this is the party that we're after because they've got the most support. We want to go after our biggest threat first. And then we're going to go ahead and also task a journalist at looking for slander. Actually, no, they're not the #1 party. Are these sorted in the opposite direction? They are. So they're actually sorted from, we want to go after the Labor Party. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and task them with that, but then I've got to go back and change this one. Oh, I guess it's too late. Okay. I think we need to hire some more journalists so we can do some more such articles. We've got plenty of money. Interview. This guy's really good on interviews. We want somebody good on investigations. There we go. So now let's go back into... Well, here's our reports. This kind of tells us what's going on. Agitators actually reduce the number of voters, whereas the other folks actually promote more. So agitation's kind of reducing the voter turnout, I guess is what you could say. So now as I look into my news editor, as I get ready to do another round of publications, I've got a lot more options. Compromising material on an opponent in the Labor Party. So that's going to hurt their party budget with that one. I think that's mainly what we're going to go with here. Are a bunch of articles to kind of hurt our opponents. And we'll also glorify the leader a little bit. So there we can print maximum number of articles. Optimal circulation is 11.3 million. Let's do it. Okay, I understand something a little better now. The agitation number showing a negative number is not because I'm impacting it that way. That's the overall results of agitation based on all parties and what they're doing. And you can see the Labor Party by far has the most agitators right now. And because of that, that's why they're influencing and they're taking away 38,000 votes that otherwise I would have. So I've got to really up my agitation game if I want to compete with what the Labor Party is doing. Now, activists, I'm way ahead. Nobody else has any activists out there right now except for me. Sponsors, again, I'm way ahead on things, but I've definitely got to work on this because right now, loyal voters, I've got 5.2 million. The Labor Party's got 5.7 million. So I've got some work to do there. So you can see on my last turn, I maxed out the number of agitators that I had, and now we've reduced that change in electorate by down to 16,000. So it also reduces my budget though because I'm spending so much on hiring those folks that now I'm only gaining about 800,000 per turn. But that should be okay. We'll see how this all kind of shakes out. So now you can see we've been up in our agitation game. We still have 10,000 fewer than the Labor Party, but we're actually gaining a net positive from our agitation. It's costing a ton of money, but that seems to be what we need to do to make this happen. Now, looking at the voter situation, we're still behind. We're about 700,000 behind, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about changing that, but right now it's looking pretty good. One of the other things I'll show you here as we're starting to wind down, and I just want to get to the end and kind of show you how it all looks at the end, is you can click on each one of these regions. So for example, the West Midlands, I can look there, and you can see that right now Labor kind of leads, but you can see how many voters each of the various parties currently has. So you can kind of see what you're up against in different areas, where you're strong, where you're not. York's and Umber, you can see here, not quite as strong there, but I can look at other areas like Northern Ireland, and I believe I am pretty strong here. So there's the Conservative Party. So you can kind of see where your strengths and weaknesses are. That's just one more kind of layer to this. And I've really only just scratched the surface. You can still see I'm still losing by about 20%. Not sure I'm going to win this election, but we'll take it to the end and kind of see how it all ends up. Well, we're closing the gap. We still have over 100 turns left, but some things I'm doing are making a difference. We've closed the gap to just 300,000 voters. And let's go ahead and take a look at the agitation number now, because that's the only thing that's really hurting me at all, but it's not a significant enough amount for me to be concerned about it. 13,000 voters isn't going to make a difference. We've got to find other ways to get those 300,000, so I'm going to invest my money more wisely. All right, just 68 turns to go, and things are heating up now, folks. We both have 6.4 million in supporters, and we're spending most of our available budget every 5 turns on getting those leaflets out, getting information out about my voters, or about my party, and I'm not really doing a whole lot else at the moment. It's giving me options for dogmas, but I'm not really choosing anything new. Power of the elites, 5% of sponsors in all regions become your supporters. Sure, I'll do that. So let's look at the voters right now. The situation could not be more even. 61 turns till we find out who's going to win. All right, I don't think we're going to win. Labor Party's polling at 25%. We're at 23%. The only thing I can hope to do at this point is go ahead and hire some activists. We're going to fire all of these folks. Well, we can't fire them because they're still in the field, but we can hire activists that I think the goal is that they're going to suppress the vote in different places. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I believe that's how that works. So we've got 15,000 available activists. We're going to go to the places where we have the lowest number of voters. And we're going to send them out. Let's see what happens. All right, so falsification or vote protection is what we want to do. We're going to kind of cheat our way, see what happens. Okay. The votes are coming in. Did not look so good for me, did it? So Labor got 28% of the vote. I only got 23%. Your party was unable to gain a power in Great Britain. All during the course of history turned out to be more complicated than you imagined. Try again. So there you have it. That's Evil Democracy 1932. Obviously, I couldn't show you all the details of every single turn or we would have been here all day. But it's a lot of fun. It's something different. If you like to kind of do the whole political machinations and kind of play around with that. And obviously, there are multiple different parties that you can take on with greater challenges in some than others. There's different nations that you can take on. So a lot of fun to be had there. Check out the link in the description below that'll take you over to the Steam page. You can read about it for yourself. It's getting very good reviews right now. It doesn't cost that much. It's like $11. So definitely worth it if you want something that's inexpensive but will keep you busy for hours. So thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you again soon.